Please join with me in giving a very warm Parker County welcome to Sandra Crawford Williamson.
Good afternoon. They didn't tell me I'd have to follow Star Wars. That's not really fair. That is me that he just described. That sounds really fancy, but I grew up in South Louisiana, worked really, really hard to put myself through college, and was blessed enough to work for some great companies like Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola. My first big break was VP of Marketing with Universal Studios, and then I was running a global toy company in 43 countries on 9/11, and the first plane flew right over my head. I was one of those people that was covered in dust from head to toe. And up to that point in my life, it had been all about success and how many job titles I could conquer and how many digits I could have on my paycheck. And on that day, the Lord really used it to change the trajectory of my career. And I had been no pets, no plants, no boys up until that point. So I was single and traveling the world. But after 9/11, within a year, I was dating my now husband. I have 3 beautiful children. I am a cancer survivor, and have had just some incredible experiences here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But about 6 years ago, when I was pregnant with my 3rd child at 44 years old, yes, I know, I'm 50 with a 6-year-old, woo! I'm tired just standing here. But when I was pregnant with my third baby, I have a real passion for research and information, and I worked for these giant companies the first half of my career, and I literally at one point had like $100 million research budget. And so I'm really passionate about that level of research for small to medium-sized businesses. And so what I've been able to do over the last few years is still have that level of research and offer it to companies your size through my own consulting practice that I run in addition to being a mom of 3 young children. So I tell people I still work 70 hours, but they're the 70 hours I choose. So I'm sure a lot of you have that schedule. So whether you're a realtor, a cafe owner, a financial planner, or a school, what I have to say today is definitely applies to you. Sound good? Okay, let's take it away. Oh my, that's my chubby picture. So Sam, let's hit it. Who are millennials? Who in here is under 35 years old? Raise it high, I want to see it. All right, millennials. Now, those of you that aren't millennials, I bet you've heard all these things people say. Oh, they're terrible employees. They don't want to work hard. They just want to be on social media. They want to travel all the time. I'm sure you've heard some of those stereotypes. What I'm here to do today is share with you some things about this new generation. And by the way, they're the largest living generation right now and the largest consumer base. So we better figure them out. Can I get a yes on that one? So we got to figure them out. So what we're going to look at today, they were born between 1980 and 2000. They are between 14 and 34 years old, are officially the millennials. They have grown up with technology in their hand. They are the most educated generation ever in America and the most debt-ridden generation in America ever. And those two go hand in hand, you might note, because they come out of college with $120,000 worth of student loans. They were raised with very different parenting styles than previous generations. They are typically the children of baby boomers. And the baby boomers had a little different approach to parenting than their generation. And so we're going to see as we go on, Sam, some of those details. So here, this just breaks out. I want you to understand the impact. There are 80 million millennials. And you can see baby boomers used to be the largest generation. You're now smaller, with 76 million. So these people are our consumers. They are the ones buying houses. They are the ones doing financial planning. They're the ones eating out. We have to master this generation to grow our businesses. So as we go on, we're going to look at the consumer base. So this is in terms of spending. They are the largest spending group also. Because some people say, well, yeah, there's a lot of them, but they don't have any money. They don't care if they have the money. They spend it. 36% of consumer spending. They're the largest part of the workforce. They make up 67% of today's workforce in America. So again, we have to figure them out. Even if our business caters to a different generation, they're probably going to be our employee pool, if not today, any day now. So this is a really important group for us to understand. They are what I call the first global generation. You know, I grew up in South Louisiana in a tiny little, literally one stoplight town. I know that's such a, you know, cliche, but literally one stoplight town. I was lucky if I went to New Orleans, right? Much less another area or another country. These millennials have grown up with much more of an awareness of the entire world. Many of them travel the world. They go on exotic vacations. My employees go to Vietnam on their vacations and South Sudan and places like that. Places where you have to get shots. That's what I always say. If I have to get a shot to go there, I think I'm going to stay home. But these guys, they travel. So the way to think about it, there's two, because that's a big group, right? 14 to 34. The older millennials live life and they're all about experiences. They want to go places. They want to have entertainment. They want to eat different foods. They want to see things. They want to experience life in the world. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's the younger millennials. The older millennials want to have an impact on the culture. So a lot of these guys are extremely active in politics and other local community things. And it's not about, you know, I was Gen X. I'm right on the cusp. I'm a baby boomer Gen Xer because I just turned 50. And my generation was all about getting ahead. Right? I grew up, I had to make straight A's, I had to go to college, I had to get a job. It was like, go, 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 what can you accomplish? Baby boomers coming out of World War II, you were all about creating a culture and creating homes and jobs and businesses, right? So then us spoiled Gen Xers came after and we were all about us. These millennials are all about an impact on the world. So they're not motivated as consumers the way that all other people are. So the previous generations were all about justice, integrity, family, practicality, and duty. A huge sense of patriotism, a huge sense of faith. The millennials are about personal happiness, personal passion, diversity. They're all about sharing their experiences with the world. Some of these stats you're going to see are astounding. And they're all about discovering new things. So they go to Iceland on vacation and things like this. You with me so far? Okay, so they have what is called FOMO, fear of missing out. If any of you are parents of millennials, you probably have this experience when you're trying to have a conversation with them or a family dinner and their neck only knows one angle. The millennials have a fear of missing out. I love surveys when they say, do you check social media in the morning, at lunchtime, in the afternoon, evening, or at bedtime? And then there's the last answer which says 24/7 throughout the day and night, anytime my phone is in my hand. That is really this generation. They are constantly connected. Even when they decide to disconnect from technology, it's like they're jonesing, you know. If you take their phone from them, they're like, they don't know what's going on. Somebody might have liked my picture while I'm standing up here. I can't get to my phone, right? That's their mentality. So, and it's not good or bad. It just is. It's just different from us. As we go on, we'll see their behaviors. So now I want you to, as a business owner, start thinking about, or as a politician, by the way, social media, digital marketing played an unprecedented role in our last large political election, and it will only become more and more so. So for you elected officials out there, this pertains to you too. So behaviors, 53% would rather give up their sense of smell than their social networks. Next, 27% prioritize keeping up to date on Facebook above dating, music, or parties. They would rather sit home alone on their phone seeing what everybody else is doing instead of being out doing it themselves. We look next, 88% of millennials send and receive an average of 88 texts a day. 88%, 88 texts. I'm a texter. I have young children, and they're involved in sports and this and dance and theater, so I'm in all these group texts. Have you ever been sitting with somebody and their phone just like bzz, 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 all the time? 88 texts a day. 56% would refuse to work at a company that bans social media. They'd rather be unemployed, over half of them, than not be able to check Facebook at their desk. If we go on, 54% say they'd prefer to pay with a smartphone as a mobile wallet instead of credit cards. We thought we were so cool getting the Square. That's like so old school now. They want to just be able to tap their phone up against that cool little device. And by the way, there is a Square that accepts that now. It's $49. So 88% have or would deposit a check into the bank by snapping a picture of it, and 45% would pay bills the same way. So if you are a service provider, landscaping company, garage door, roofer, those types of service companies, and you show up and you say, sorry, we only take cash or check, they won't have cash or a check, just so you know. And paying online, going on and entering a credit card, they won't do that either. They are used to this sort of instant pay. 78% of millennials would rather spend money on a desirable experience than food or a car or shoes. So they will be poor and broke, but they'll go to Vietnam on vacation and like stay in a hostel and eat, rice with their fingers. This is real. Can I get amen from you guys? I saw who you were. I see you laughing because I'm talking about you, right? So money is just not that important, right? Like they don't care that they're in debt. They don't care about having, fancy shoes and nice cars and, the branded purse. That stuff isn't important to them. Experiences are important and relationships. 95% of them say that their friends are the most desirable source of product information. Let that sink in. 95%, not your advertising, not your billboard, not your newspaper ad, certainly not your Yellow Page ad. We can talk about that in another meeting. It's not any of the way you're spending your money. It's through word of mouth. It's their friends. It's referrals. It's somebody sharing it on their Facebook page. It's somebody retweeting it. That's how they're getting information about companies and products and services and restaurants and schools and financial planners and realtors. Really. If we look at sort of this mentality, I call them the broadcasters, 26% of millennials have a personal blog. 26%. You do the math. That's 20 million-ish millennials have their own personal blog. They don't care if anybody reads it. It's not like, when I came up in marketing, you had a blog because you wanted to say something and you wanted to share it, you wanted people to read it. These people just love broadcasting what they're doing and the experiences that they're having. 28% of them have their own website, no matter what they do. Doesn't matter. They have their own website. They own the technology, they know it, and they use it. And 66% of them have uploaded some type of content to the web. If we go on then, we start saying, how is social media impacting? Well, 63% of them stay updated about brands through social networks. So if you are a business and you're not on Facebook, Instagram, Google Plus, and Twitter, we need to talk. In fact, there's a guide on your table that we'll talk about in a minute. This is the way they're communicating. It's the water cooler, okay? In the olden days, we went to the kitchen and we got coffee and we microwaved our breakfast burrito and we chatted about what we saw on TV last night and where we went to dinner and what new pediatrician I took my kid to and, who my realtor was when I moved into town. They don't do that anymore. All of those conversations, every one of them happened over social media. If we keep going then, we'll see 84% of them report that user-generated content drives what they buy. So remember, 95% of them put what their friends say first when they're shopping and making a decision. 84% of them user-generated content. That's just something somebody else wrote. It's not something the business wrote. It's something somebody that used you as a realtor, went to your restaurant, used you as a financial planner, used you to do their lawn, and all the other businesses. It's what your customer said about you. Does that make sense? So if you are sitting here and you don't have a very assertive way to get testimonials from your customers, please, please do it. You'll be amazed at what a $5 Starbucks gift card will incent people to do. So get them to talk about your business on your Facebook page that hopefully you have. Next, 40% are already parents. I speak to a lot of groups and they're like, oh yeah, they're young, they don't have any money. No, they're 34 and below, and 40% of them are already parents and choosing private schools. And in about 10 years, it's like an 82% of them will be parents. So right now is the time for us to unpack this generation and understand how to market our products to them and services. 86% are trying to or will try to avoid being a helicopter parent. I love that one because they were parented as by a helicopter parent. 83% of new moms are millennials. Just think about that. Every baby being born in America today, 83% of them, born or adopted, 83% of new moms are a millennial. So if you have a family product or service and you're talking like you're talking to Gen X and baby boomers, you are not even speaking to them. They don't read magazines. They don't have a newspaper. Many of them have never read a newspaper, ever. Just think about that. And back 1 second, Sam, on that one. Make sure we covered it. Yes, they and third of the natives report searching for parenting advice on their mobile device. So we used to get our parenting advice from our neighbor, our grandmother, our mom, our sister. They've sort of created their own little millennial communities. Friends are, in a lot of cases, more important to them than their families. They have they call them their tribe, right? So their tribe is where they find where to go and who to shop and who to buy from and how to raise their kids. Next, 61% of millennial moms are in the workforce. So if you're a private school or a business that is catering specifically to parents, you need to understand this is the first generation where we're approaching 2/3 of families being double income households. And why is that? Because they have a lot of debt, because they aren't as driven about making more and more money, giving more and more promotions. So they're working in nonprofits and they're doing startups and they have lower paying jobs. So both of them have to work to survive. Next, 48%, this is just interesting because again, thinking about all the businesses in the room, I thought this one was interesting. 48% of them involve kids in preparing the family meals. I ban my children when I'm cooking because it's already a hot mess, so I don't need them anywhere around. But half of them basically involve children, and they have sort of this Montessori mentality of you go as slow as you need to for the kids, and you make a giant mess, and it's okay because it's about the experience. Next, 85% of millennial parents say their children influence their purchase decision. 85%. And I'm not just talking about the Cheetos in the grocery store. They take them to the dealership to buy a car. I presented this to some auto dealer owners, and they were like, oh my goodness, yes. We thought it's because they couldn't afford a babysitter. But they let the kid get in. The kid crawls all around. They're like, oh, I have 4 cup holders back here. Look, my PlayStation screen will work, blah, whatever. They let their kids have input into major decisions. I have millennial parents who won't buy a house and let their kids gone in there and roll down the stairs. I mean, it's all about the experience and everybody being on the same page. Next, 95% have relatives that make up their support system, and 55% rely most on parents and grandparents. So remember we talked a minute ago about those tribes? If they have family around them, we live here, we have not one family member anywhere around. Our closest family is in New Orleans. So I've created my little school, church, community tribe, right? That's what a lot of millennials do. But if they live anywhere near family, which we'll see on the next slide, a lot of them do, it's a multi-generational thing. In fact, have you heard the term boomerang? Guess what? Those of you that have kicked the kid out and sent him to college, what's the boomerang mean? They showed back up 5 years later with their boxes. That is happening more and more. So 72% of them live within 30 miles of their parents. You can't get rid of them. Look at this. 44%, 0 to 9 miles, and on and on. If we go to the next slide, we'll see it might be 0%. Go to the next one, Sam. I have those out of order. Yeah. 36% depend on financial support from their families and may have boomeranged back home. They're both working. They have all this debt. They want to spend their money on experiences and seeing the world and experiencing all the cultures. So you know what? Rent's really not that important. It's like 12th on the list. Because I can go back and live upstairs at mom and dad's because it's just empty. That is happening all over America. So back a slide now for me. 68% of millennials will not make a major decision without running it past their network first. So that looks like this. Thinking of buying a Tahoe today. Anyone have a Tahoe? What do you think? If you're on Facebook, you see that thousands of times a day. Hey, need a new pediatrician. These are the ones on my network. Who can tell me which one? That stuff all day, every day. I love it when I go to clients, they go, well, I'm not on social media. You're on social media, you're just not having any control over what's been saying about your business. You're all over social media because everybody else is talking about you. So, there we go. So, when they spend on others, these are the things they are most likely to spend their money on. They definitely care how they look. So they'll be broke, be in debt, be living with grandma in the basement, but they're going to look good. And they're going to have a great personal life. If we look at what they spend on themselves, same trend, apparel and health and beauty. That's where they like to spend their money. So moving on, now we start thinking about social media as I call it the play-by-play. So people go to your restaurant, they use your business, whatever it might be, your school. 93% of millennials are going to go on their social media and tell people about it. 93%. Not 1 out of 10. 9.3 out of 10 of them are going to talk about you and the experience they had with you on their social network. It's scary, but you have the opportunity to turn them into your best salesperson ever. And that's how I want you to see it. So, what are they talking about, right? So, the percent of them sharing parenthood experiences, almost 90% word of mouth, 67.5% are doing, oh, that's a typo, SMS, blogs, and forums. You can see it goes on down the line. They are telling everybody about how they're raising their kids and where they're taking them and what they're buying them and what they're feeding them and their homemade baby food and their cloth diapers and all of those things. For real. Next, 50% are more likely to buy a brand because they support a cause. They're extremely motivated by cause marketing. So if your business, your service has a cause that you support, blast it. Blast it out. That's important to them. If it comes to a tie, or even if you're kind of a little behind your competitor, but you're standing for a cause, that will push you over the top for them. It's very important. So here's the breakdown. If you look at baby boomers and Gen X, which most of us in the room are, and then our handful of millennials, you start looking at the difference. I'm politically independent. That means not affiliated with one of the two major parties. 37% to 39% to 50% now millennials. I'm religious, 55, down to 52, down to 36%. I am patriotic. This one's heartbreaking, 75, 64, 48. They're much more about global. They're much more about experiences. And they don't like being in the sort of the popular group. They don't like groupthink. They're, you know, you've heard that sheep mentality, or everybody else is doing it, I'll do it. They're anti-sheep mentality. They want to go on the road less traveled. 60% of them are engaged in rating products and services. I have millennial employees. They live their life on Yelp. If you're not on Yelp, please get on Yelp. And again, if you think, well, I'm not on Yelp, yes, you are, because they can rate you and talk about you without you even having created your profile. I had one sweet business owner, he's like a $50 million revenue. He's like, oh, I don't do any of that stuff. And I'm like, well, let's just sit right down here at the computer. I pulled him up on Yelp, I pulled him up on Facebook, I pulled him up on Google+, I pulled him up on Google Search, and he was shocked. You are online, you are on Yelp, you're all these places, you're just not controlling the message. And so that's the sense of urgency I want you to have. So, that's a lot of information, Sandra, great. Now maybe you'll understand your children and grandchildren a little more. But now why does this matter to you as a business owner? So, before, baby boomers surprised marketers in the 1970s. In the 1970s, you might remember the companies like Procter & Gamble, Kimberly-Clark, there was a huge sort of interruption when that baby boomer group became the largest consumer group because they were very different from their previous generation. This is absolutely the time right now for us to decipher this generation because they're already more than the baby boomers. So then they scrambled to understand baby boomers, and now marketing experts are learning from mistakes in the past, and we're working really, really hard, and I'm just particularly passionate about sharing the message. And so this generation is the most educated and is most technologically advanced. Okay? That shouldn't scare us. We just have to meet them where they already are. Does that make sense? So next, I will tell you all the data, and I can show you reams. I spent over time, this is about $100,000 worth of research and like white papers this thick that I am jamming packed into what I hope is 25-ish minutes. So 2018 is the year. There are already now more of them. They're already spending more. In 2018, they will be the generation to be reckoned with. The other two generations will not even be close. So in terms of next, we can look at their critical mass. They're early adopters, by the way, because they're all about experience and not following everybody else, right? So if you have a new business, go after the millennials first. Because if no one else has heard about you, that will actually attract them, believe it or not. Does that make sense? And I know that sounds like sort of backwards, but if you're new and different, they'll see that as special. So go after them first, and then they'll tell all their friends. They rely on a network, so you have to be part of their network. That's the bottom line. I know a lot of people say, well, social media takes so much time, da-da-da-da. It can, but it doesn't have to be that hard. And what I want you to know is I could sit with any of you, and I bet you 90% of you are already being talked about on Yelp, Facebook, and Twitter, and you don't even know it. So go out there and do some searches. So just a couple quick things on what to do. So next, they see all things in one big place. Like in the olden world of marketing, we had print advertising, we had billboards, we had in-home, we had out-of-home, there were all these buckets. They just see one big giant message. They see it on Facebook, and then they Google it, and then somebody talks about it, and then they see a picture on Instagram, and then they might drive by you, right? And then someone might share their experience, and then they might see a review. Because they consume so much digital information, I mean, reams of digital information they're consuming every single day, it's like a sort of a cumulative effect. They're going to see and hear about you all these different places. So it's one big bucket to engage them. Now, customer service. Let's talk about customer service, because if we have customers, we have to service them. Sometimes it's this big and sometimes it's a lot. My last client that we redid their entire consumer integration, they had a phone number and you had to call and talk to a person. Okay, that's great. Some people want to talk to people. They do not. They'll text before calling and they expect you to do the same. So by simply having on your business card and on your website and on your Facebook page, text for an appointment, text to know more, text with questions, and you better be ready to answer those questions. But SMS texting can be a huge benefit in dealing with your customers. And it reduces costs because you don't have to have as many people answering the phone, by the way. But you sure better have a bunch of other millennials answering their questions when they're texting. Voicemail, they won't leave a voicemail. And they get them and they don't even check them, right? I was looking the other day at somebody's phone and they literally had like I swear it was like 54 unheard voice messages. And I was like, well, that's why your phone's full. You're not listening and deleting your voicemail. She's like, oh, I forgot that was even on there. Because they text. And then you read the text when you can. It's not like a voicemail you leave and you have to listen to. So if you're calling your customers and you're leaving them messages and not hearing back from them, that's why. Odds are the phone number they've given you is their mobile number. So feel free to go ahead and call it, but also follow it up with a text. It will make a huge impact. Availability is huge. They live in a 24/7 world. A lot of them are, working out of the home and they're doing sort of non-traditional hours. And so they might find your school on a Google search at 2 in the morning. Well, guess what they want at 2 in the morning? They want answers. They want information. They live in an immediate world. So whatever it is, realtor, whatever the business is, they need to be able to find information when they want it. And if you're not available, they want to at least be able to say, hey, I'm here. Can you give me some information? And you need to get back with them. So you see loyalty. If you communicate with them well, they will become a loyal, raving fan of your business. So they're okay if you say, hey, these are the only hours we're going to talk to you. But give them some alternative. Email at the least. Okay? What to provide? They want a company, a service, a brand that is mobile conscious. So your website needs to be optimized for a mobile device because 74% of internet browsing in America is done on a smartphone. And it's going to be 90, I think, within 18 months. So the old desktop computer looking for something, oh, I'll do that when I get back to the office. No, I'll do it right now on my smartphone. They want a socially conscious company. We talked about that. Global, caring about community, a cause. And they want a collaborative marketplace. What I mean by that is sort of they want to see you everywhere they are. That makes sense. Next, the use of technology. We touched on this. Phone calls can be just as meaningful as in-person get-togethers, right? If your business typically requires a face-to-face, you don't really need to do that as much with millennials. They're real quick. They'll knock it out on the phone. If you're used to talking to your clients, you can knock it out on a text. Does that make sense? It's kind of once removed. Retweets on Twitter or likes on Instagram or Facebook can be just as relevant as an email for them because they care what other people think. Text can carry the weight of a phone call, sometimes even more because they won't listen to your message. Emoticons and emojis. I know you probably have grandkids who send you a text message and you're like, I don't even know what this says because it has letters and pictures. That's how they talk to each other, and if you can begin to speak to them like they're speaking, they're going to hear you better. Marketing. Educate, educate, educate. They want information. They're 24/7. They're all about content. They want information. You need to have FAQs on your website because I tell my clients, they won't come to you to check you out until they've checked out all the free digital information they can. So, I've worked with a business, they're like, our traffic is so far down, but our business is up. I said, well, yeah, because millennials digest and check you out online and read reviews and websites and what everybody else says, and then they come to you. They don't come to you to screen you out. Does that make sense? A lot of times they've made the decision before you ever even see or meet them or hear from them, which is scary, because if you're not controlling the message they're seeing, then you might not ever hear from them. So get social, be unique, be special, be their friend, be mobile friendly. You know, spend money, but spend it wisely. I love working for myself because I can say things like, please don't be spending money in yellow pages and newspaper advertising unless you're a home service provider, and then do the tiniest yellow page ad that you can. You can do more with a $5 boost on Facebook than you can with a $500 ad in any magazine or newspaper. That's a fact. I have research and data across many industries to prove that. And boosting on Facebook takes like 3 clicks. And it's so easy. Don't oversimplify. Don't go, oh, they don't have any money and they don't want to work hard. I hear people do that all the time. I'm like, let me just tell you, they're spending more money than any other generation. So don't kind of lump them in and use stereotypes. You need to embrace diversity. Even if they are not a diverse family, they are very aware of race and gender and color, because they've grown up in that global world. And so if you go to your website and everybody looks the same, they're going to notice that, where prior generations, it wouldn't even occur to them. So that's something to be sensitive to. Participate, participate in the communication, participate in the community. They're big on community events and the Oktoberfest and all those types of things. Don't cut corners on the experience. They want a white glove experience, because the experience a lot of times is just as important as the product to them, and you have to be using technology. I think we're wrapping it up here. What we do at Crawford Creative Consulting, I do a lot of personal executive coaching and corporate training, and I go into businesses and sort of what I've just tried to jam pack. I do specifically for your industry and your business with research. And then as a firm, and I run everything, by the way. I don't think you're getting handed off to a 24-year-old. I run all of it with my team. So digital marketing, social media, search engine optimization. This is what we do. Like I said, after seeing the Procter & Gamble's and the Coca-Colas of the world spend crazy amount of information on data, I just became extremely passionate about the small to medium-sized business. I have 3 kids. They happen to be in a private Christian school. And so I've spent a lot of time at the hyper-local level understanding the dynamics of this DFW Metroplex. And I'd love to help you. That's my stuff. Thank you.